What's up everyone, Tommy with Studio Sense here. Thanks for stopping by for today's video. If you saw my short, I introduced today's video as 10 cheap fragrances that will cover you from A to Z. Now when I use the word favorite, I mean my personal favorite. These are fragrances that are on my rotation. When you want something that's going to be really good quality, you don't want to spend a ton of money on it, and that's exactly what I've accumulated in these 10 fragrances. So I've got that and more coming up. Stay tuned. Welcome back everyone. So the subject of today's video, 10 fragrances that are really inexpensive, that are perfect for pretty much all occasions, all 4 seasons, any scenario that you might be able to find yourself in a real world situation. We're going to go through these 10 fragrances relatively quickly because the idea is to get you some really good information quickly so that you can just grab it and run, take off. If you happen to be listening to this in your car and you're on your way to do some shopping or run some errands and you're going to be running by some retail locations that actually sell fragrance, this might help you because some of these can be found in rack stores and of course you can find them online. So let's go ahead and dive in 10 fragrances that are my personal favorites that I've been using over the past 6 months or so that you can start saving money now. The first fragrance that I want to talk about is kind of one of those you don't hear a lot about. It came out in 2020. It's Big Brother Nautica Voyage. People talk about that all the time. It's a very well-known cheapie, but you don't often hear about Nautica Midnight Voyage. Midnight's kind of a darker version of the Voyage DNA. What I really like about it, it makes use of fresh mint. It's got pink pepper and some dark amber in the base. So those are your 3 primary or key notes. When you first spray this on, it's going to be a little bit overwhelming, but you let it die down just a bit and that the strength stays. So it's got really good projection, really good longevity, but that fresh hit of slightly derivative, synthetic, or chemical feel kind of dies away, and what you're left with is, of course, the Voyage DNA, a little bit darker, perfect for nighttime scenarios, and this could even be a good date night fragrance. It's kind of hard to find in a 100 ml bottle right now, but you can find 50 ml bottles everywhere for about 25 bucks, which is a really good deal for a 2-year-old fragrance. Nautica Midnight Voyage. Speaking of date night, my next cheapie that I often gravitate to when I want something that's going to be a little bit boozy, warm, comforting, but also has that seductive vibe to it, is a Zara fragrance from their tobacco collection called Rich, Warm, and Addictive. Now, this is a very well-known cheapie. I'm not bringing something to the table that's brand new that you may not have heard about, but if you've heard about it, but you've been kind of hesitating on pulling the trigger on this, it's a very inexpensive fragrance. You can get a 100 ml bottle for about 25 bucks. I have the link below. This is one that you're gonna want to go to over and over. It's one of those that's really hard to pull your nose out of. It's basically a mix of rum, white peony, and bourbon vanilla with a little bit of a honeyed background. It feels like it's got a rich, warm, smooth honey. It's just a really very smooth and addictive fragrance, just like it's built into the name. That's how most people respond to it, and it actually wears very well in terms of longevity and in terms of projection, especially if you like tobacco-based fragrances. Zara's Rich, Warm, and Addictive. My next favorite cheapie is again nothing new, but something that you're probably aware of but you haven't maybe worn or thought about in a while. I actually gave away a bottle of it yesterday. It is CK1 Shock. Talk about a fragrance that makes you think of days past yet still has this whole timeless DNA. I mean, there are a ton of notes in this, and I always make fun of cucumber note. It's like, what's cucumber doing in a fragrance? But it just adds to the incredible mix that is CK1 Shock. CK1 Shock in a nutshell is kind of a youthful oriented fragrance, but anyone of any age can wear it because it's overall a very modern tobacco fragrance. Basically, it's kind of a light tobacco fragrance. Along with tobacco, it's got ambroin, cashmere, black basil, black pepper, patchouli. It's just a fantastic overall mix. And again, this is another one that if you've heard a lot about it, but you just hesitated because you've heard Calvin Klein fragrances are weak, this is not one of them. This is one of the good guys. Definitely pull the trigger on this one. CK1 Shock. It's always great to own, even if you have just a few fragrances, to have a few multifaceted fragrances. Fragrances that are changeable. They smell like something here or give off this vibe here, and then in a certain scenario, they smell a bit different or feel a bit different. That whole hot and cold plot device has been used in a lot of fragrances and is used in really good effect in Yop Homme Ice, one of the best cheapies out there. I think Yop Homme Ice is a little bit harder to categorize because of that. It's got several facets or faces to it. What I really love about it is it's got that whole modern feel with a bit of a seductive twist to it. I, for one, am not a huge fan of the original Yop Homme, but this is a side of it that I really like. It has that kind of lightly sweet and sour background with just a tinge of bitterness, which somehow contributes to an overall kind of very unique, seductive vibe. So this is definitely something that you could wear on date nights, but overall it's going to be a great signature scent. It's a great summertime fragrance, but you can wear it in cooler weather because, again, it has that hot and cold facet to it. Amazingly inexpensive. You can get a 100ml bottle for less than 20 bucks. Definitely check out Yop Homme Ice. Our next fragrance is an aquatic fragrance, and I highly recommend that if you're interested in collecting fragrance at all, or just having a fragrance that covers all situations, to have a really good quality aquatic fragrance. So it's a bit more, not necessarily the cheapest of the cheapie, going to be a little bit more than most of these in this list, but it's definitely a must own. It is a Missoni fragrance called Missoni Wave. Missoni Wave's been out for a little while now. It's gained in popularity. Therefore, you can get a 100ml bottle for around 50 bucks or just under 50 bucks in most situations. It's been compared to Chanel Allure Homme Sport or Eau Extreme, Allure Homme Eau Extreme. What I really like about Missoni Wave, it's a very comprehensive aquatic fragrance. It has everything that you like in aquatic fragrances. It opens with mandarin orange and marine notes, so you get the aquatic immediately. Then it goes into some spicy like clary sage and lavender, but it also has like Egyptian pelargonium, lotus, some other floral notes along with vetiver. There's like a vanilla orchid in the base too. It's a unique smelling fragrance and fantastic performance. Missoni hit it out of the park with this one. Again, very well worth owning. Missoni Wave. A lineup of fragrance is definitely missing something without a good gourmand fragrance. So the gourmand fragrance that I highly recommend, and typically gourmand fragrances can vary in price, but they're usually a bit more. This one is fantastically cheap. It is by Pepe Jeans of London. It's actually called London Calling. London Calling is actually a relatively new fragrance to the scene, but it's already really inexpensive. It's got this unusual but very smooth combination of plum chutney, clove, Italian lemon. You've got a bourbon vanilla in the base, of course. Actually, a bourbon vanilla absolute, nutmeg, and patchouli. Very, very well-rounded, but very warm and lightly sweet fragrance. A lot of gourmand fragrances can be a bit dense, heavy, and too much on the sweetness. This one gets it just right, and it also has that whole masculine bent to it, making it perfect for date nights as well as just a well-rounded signature scent. You can get a 100ml bottle of London Calling for around 30 bucks, a fantastic find. The next cheapie that should cover your needs from A to Z is actually one that's been out for a while. It's by Michael Kors. Not always been called a cheapie, but in the framework we're talking about today, definitely fits. It is Michael Kors Extreme Speed. There were like 5 fragrances that came out in this whole extreme lineup of Michael Kors, and they've kind of been just relegated to the background. But I swear to you, if you own them, get them out again. You'll be surprised at how good a quality they are, especially for the price. Cardamom, sage, cypress, cinnamon, Tolia balm with some resins in the background. It's a darker fragrance, but it also has this light side to it as well. This is another one of those colognes that's just great for anywhere use, but it also has that kind of bit sultry side to it, making it great for date night use or nighttime wear. And it's just a great performance. This one's becoming a little bit harder to find in a 100ml size, but you can get a 50ml size for 30 bucks, which is an excellent price. Michael Kors Extreme Speed. This next fragrance is one of the best in this list in terms of cost. It's one of the best as well. It actually is from Jimmy Choo. I used to wear this all the time. I wear it frequently now, but it is Jimmy Choo Urban Hero, the Gold Edition. If you like blood orange or a kind of a light citrus, but a smart smelling modern fragrance, Urban Hero Gold Edition is a fragrance that you definitely want to try out. The combination that makes this so good and unique is in the open, but don't worry, it doesn't die away. It's actually part of the scent profile that remains, is a combination of blood orange and pineapple. That's what you get in the open, and that's what lasts into the dry down. Buoyed by lavender, tonka beans, sandalwood, and oak moss, overall a fantastic blend. I'm not a huge proponent of Jimmy Choo fragrances because sometimes it's hit or miss. This one is definitely a hit, and you can get a 100ml bottle right now for under 50 bucks. It's like $46, which is fantastic for this. It's comes off as a very high quality designer fragrance. So give it a try. Jimmy Choo Urban Hero Gold Edition. Next up is a fragrance by Azzaro. You could call it an aquatic fragrance. albeit it's a little bit more just a modern, all-around, made-for signature scent. So it's definitely signature scent worthy. It is Azzaro Chrome Extreme. Chrome Extreme is basically Chrome Turbo, you know, Chrome the better. It's got better projection, better performance. They've modernized the DNA, so it's a lot more in line with some higher tier fragrances. It smells almost as good quality as an Armani or a Prada or a YSL fragrance. So Azzaro has really done a good job in kind of refreshing the Chrome DNA with Chrome Extreme. Another one similar to Missoni Wave, similar to Jimmy Choo Urban Hero Gold Edition, that you can get a 100 ml bottle for under 50 bucks, like $46. Very well worth it. This was one that you can wear any season, any occasion. Chrome Extreme. So guys, last of the 10 fragrances that we're going to be talking about is similar to all of these, cover you from A to Z in terms of what your needs are, is a fragrance by Rochas. It is L'Homme Rochas. Again, we see that wonderful combination of blood orange and pineapple, similar to Jimmy Choo Urban Hero, so that is in the open of this, but it smells very different. You've got juniper, geranium, basil, tonka bean, patchouli. It's just an overall well-blended, well-crafted fragrance for what you pay for it. You can get a 100 ml bottle of L'Homme Rochas for 30 bucks. If you haven't tried this one out, go all in. It is a very simple, very easy blind buy. I can highly recommend that. Well guys, that's it for my 10 cheapie fragrances that I've been using, my favorite picks over the past several months, 6 months, really the past year in 2022. And they're very, very inexpensive. All of these are great quality. They smell actually better than the amount of money that you're going to spend on them, and that's really a sign or earmark of a great fragrance. If you own any of these, of course I want to hear what your opinion in the comments below, which are your favorite, or if there are other fragrances that I missed and you've got a favorite cheapie that you'd like to include, let us know what that is in the comments as well. Guys, thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks so much for your time today, and as always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.